Hello and welcome to my Stamperia Fortune mini album tutorial series designed for scrap and create. All of the products that I will be using to create this mini album and box will be linked in the description box below, so check those out, purchase your supplies, and follow along. In this tutorial, we are going to start working on the front side of page 4. The first piece of cardstock you'll need to cut measures 6 inches by 11 inches. On the 11-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and 5 3/4 inches. Then we're going to miter the ends on the 1/2 inch tab section. Next, I have a piece that measures 7 inches by 2 inches. On the 7-inch side, we're going to score this at 1/2 and 6 1/2. And then we are going to miter the ends on both of the 1/2 inch tab sections. And then I have 2 pieces that measure 8 1/2 by 4 1/4 inches. Now on the first piece, I'm going to score this on the 8 1/2 inch side at 4 1/4. On the second piece, I'm going to score this at 1/2 inch and 4 3/4 inches. And then I will miter the ends on my 1/2 inch tab section. Now I'm going to come in here and fold on my score lines on all of my pieces and burnish with my bone folder. Then I will come back and show you how to place these on the page. For this one, you want to fold like this. And then for this one, the largest piece, we're going to fold this 1/2 inch tab back like we normally would. And then I am going to fold back on my score line and burnish this fold so that this piece is over top of my flap. I'm going to finish folding these and then I'll come back and we'll place these on the page. I'm going to start with my larger piece, placing my adhesive here on my 1/2 inch tab section. Now I have my centering ruler. I have marked 2 5/8 inch on the left hand side. You can mark on both sides if you want. I'm going to be placing this with the tab on the bottom so that this will open up. And I'm going to be centering this on my page here. So using my marks and centering this. So it is only 6 inches and the page is 6 1/8. So I am going to make sure that it's centered so it's slightly smaller. I'm going to adhere this down like this, and this will flip up like that. Next, I'm going to take my 7-inch piece on the flap that I just placed down. I'm going to now mark that flap. I'm going to mark 1 inch from the center on here. Apply my adhesive to my 1/2 inch tabs. And then I'm going to adhere this onto the front of my flap, making sure that those score lines are lined up with the side. And then I'm going to burnish this down. Now I'm going to take my one that looks like just a fold over card. I'm going to use my centering ruler here to center this onto my larger flap in both directions. And once I have this centered, I am going to draw a line here and here on my belly band, and I'm just going to mark across the top and the bottom so that I know where I need to place this back. Now on this belly band, I'm only going to apply my adhesive here in the center because this is the portion of the card that's going to be adhered to the front of my belly band. Then I'm going to use these guides to place this right back down where it needs to go so that it is again centered on my page. Then I'll burnish this down so that it's adhered to the front of my belly band. Once this is on, I will flip this open, taking my final piece, apply adhesive to the 1/2 inch tab section. And now I'm going to place this here. And I'm going to make sure that the top and bottom edges line up with the top and bottom edge of the card that I had on first. And then I'm going to burnish this down here. Now I'm actually going to bring my cutter in here. I am going to trim down this edge piece. So I'm going to cut off 1.5 inches. Just to make it a little bit smaller because I am going to make this into a pocket. So this is going to end up becoming a pocket. So it will be like this. So you just need to cut 1.5 inches off of this edge. And that is all for the build for the front of the page. Next, we're going to jump in and add our decorative papers. Before I add any decorative papers, I am going to add some ribbon to my front of my flap. I have 2 pieces, 8 inches in length, that are cut. I'm going to place the first piece in the center, right off the right edge of this front flap here. Then I'm going to open this up and place the second one Then I'm going to open up and place my second ribbon on the edge of the flap below it. Once I get this one on, I'm going to close this to make sure that they are in line. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut my papers. So this is the 8x8 paper I'm going to be using to cover my flaps. So I've just cut them into 4 equal 4x4 pieces. I'm going to take this one here and place it on the front of my booklet. I'm going to turn these 2 over to the back sides. This one I'm going to place here. I'm going to place this one here. Then I've gone ahead and taken this piece from the 8x8 and I've cut this portion. It's already cut to 4 inches. I've cut this to 4 1/8. I'm going to place this here in the center section. Then I've gone ahead and cut this to 2 1/8. I'm going to place this here. Then I will adhere this down on top and bottom to form my pocket. And then I have this leftover piece of the 8x8 striped paper. I've cut one piece down to 4 inches and I'm going to place this here on the front of my pocket. Now I did cut one of my little pieces from my 8x8 paper. I backed it onto some cardstock, and I'm going to apply this down here as a decoration. And I only backed it onto cardstock just so that it would stand out a little bit from my papers. If you don't want to back it onto cardstock, you don't have to. And I'm just going to place it down here in this bottom right corner so it will extend over past the pocket just a little bit. And then we'll come back later and add the photo mat inside of that area. So once that is on, I'm going to go ahead and close this and tie this into a bow to hold my flaps shut while I work on the rest of the page. Now, before I apply any of my decorative papers, I am going to add my magnets so that I don't forget. I'm going to take my first magnet here and place it in the center and about a ½ inch or so from the bottom edge. Then I'm going to put some adhesive on here because I'm going to place a charm on here. Oh, actually, nope, charm's not going to go on this side. The charm is going to go on the top part. So once I have my first magnet on, I will place my second magnet and then close my flap to place my magnet correctly. Now I'm going to turn this upside down to make this easier to place. I'm going to put some adhesive down, and I have my sun on my twine, and I'm going to just place those ends in that adhesive right around that magnet so that the sun is hanging off the bottom edge of that upper flap, so that when that's closed, it will dangle here and act as a pull tab. I'm taking this 8x8 paper and I've cut down here from the bottom corner. I've cut a piece that measures 6 inches by 3 inches. Then I've cut the bottom to 1 3/8 of an inch. I'm going to be placing this down here at the bottom. So I'm going to be using this score line here to line the top edge of my paper up. And then for the top portion, I need to use my envelope punch board to punch my notch in my page here, and I'm going to place this here at the top. Once that's on the top, I'm going to place adhesive down the sides on the larger flap and close this to make a large pocket. Now I've decided just to go ahead and cut straight up the rest of this page here because it was the right size. I did trim down from the right hand side, so this is 5 3/4, and I'm going to be placing this here and tucking this underneath the belly band. So I'm going to adhere that down here. And then for my belly band, I have 2 pieces of this blue paper. It's this leftover piece. We've cut from this several times. It's from the 12x12. These are 1 3/4 by a little bit more than 3/4 of an inch. And I'm going to be placing one on each side here of my belly band. I'm going to open up to the inside and we're going to cut the last pieces for in here. So I've got this 12x12 paper that I have cut from first. I've cut 2 pieces that measure 5 3/4 by 4 inches. I'm going to place one here at the bottom of the upper flap and one here at the top of the lower flap. And then I have 2 pieces of this 12x12 paper that I've cut to 5 3/4 by 1 inch. I'm going to place the first piece here on the top, covering that magnet. There will be a small space between these 2 pieces of paper, and then this one is going to be down here, covering the magnet on the bottom. Then I've cut this little piece from the 8x8 cut apart sheet, and I'm going to adhere this to my blue paper, and I'm going to leave the bottom open so it's going to slightly overlap my photo mat so the photo will tuck behind it. So this is what my inside looks like when it's finished, I'm going to go ahead and close that flap and place my charm in the correct position and make sure my bow is tied nice and tight. Now this is it for the page for now. Later we will come back and add a photo mat to the pocket and a photo mat here behind our belly band. So this is it for this part of the tutorial. In the next tutorial, we will go on to decorate the back side of the page. So I'll see you in the next tutorial.